Today, we're talking through 10 clutter hotspots. Working out where they are and why they gather more clutter is half the battle. We're going to give you some quick fire, handy tips on how to avoid them.
You're listening to the Declutter Hub podcast, bringing you tried and tested, no-nonsense tips and advice from the leading experts in decluttering and organising your home. Now here are your hosts, Ingrid Jansen and Leslie Spellman.
Hello and welcome, listeners. I'm Ingrid.
And I'm Leslie.
If you're new to the Declutter Hub podcast, you're so welcome. What you'll find is that we try and find a fun factor in the serious business of decluttering. And if you've been here for a while, you know exactly what we mean. So thank you so much for listening.
If you'd like to get involved in conversations relating to this podcast, it all takes place in our Facebook group. So come and join our lovely, warm, supportive community. To find the Facebook group, go to declutterhub.com/group to find out more. Or you can search for the Declutter Hub community on Facebook.
It's a 10 Things podcast, Leslie. I like the 10 Things. And we've already been laughing because of the way I pronounce hotspots.
As per usual. And this is where half the listenership think it's funny and half think I'm just being particularly mean because your English is impeccable. We all know that. But every now and again, there's a word that just kind of makes me laugh. And half of it is because I studied Dutch and so I understand the origins of it. But go on, just say hotspot.
Hotspot.
Oh, see, now you're trying to tone it down. Now you're trying to tone down the Dutchness, aren't you?
It's a bit like Huts. It's a bit like Hutspot, which is actually a dish in the Netherlands.
Exactly. I was just going to say hotspot many times. I just thought it was a very Dutchified word and it just made me laugh. Because honestly, if you had to let's call it create our lovely podcast content as much as we do, sometimes we get a little bit stir crazy, don't we, Ingrid? And we just collapse in a heap on the floor and just laugh our way through it.
Yeah,
mostly off camera.
Yeah.
Thankfully. For most
my
people.
goodness. Well, at least we're laughing and not crying, I say.
Exactly. Right. Okay. So we're here to talk about hotspots. So there are lots of areas of your home. You could argue that everywhere in your home is a clutter hotspot, but we're going to talk about some of the ones that just have this habit of like gathering more clutter. So you start to kind of put things down and then all of a sudden it builds and builds and builds and builds and then it becomes completely unruly and needs to be fixed. So we have identified 10 hotspots and trust me, there are many, many more. This is just 10 of many that we could have mentioned. So we're going to talk through those clutter hotspots, perhaps why they behave in the way they do as clutter gatherers and how to a surefire way and how to fix them.
Let's get cracking because we love a 10 Things podcast and we're here always forever. So, and I know we've got a lot to say about all of these hotspots. So number one is the entryway, the hallway, the place where you enter your house. Oh my goodness, that area has to work hard, doesn't it? Things get just chucked.
They do. They get chucked down because you kind of breathe a sigh of relief when you come in. You just want to drop everything, don't you? You want to drop your bag down. You want to drop your shoes down. You want to take your coat off. You want to throw your keys in a dish. You want to put your money down. You want all these things that you kind of gather from the car, water bottles, children, everything. And you kind of manage to get it into your front door and then you just drop everything. And that's why they become hotspots. And it's the first place that in your home, right, when you get to. So it's important to keep them not hotspotty. And how do you do that, Ingrid?
Well, you have to first of all, I think, have some coat racks. You need to have possibly a shoe rack or some boxes or containers where you can put shoes in. Maybe, a place where you can put the mail down, maybe a place for a key or, all of these little bits and bobs that you come in with and just have a place for them. But I think it's also an area, Leslie, even if you got all of that, and I do, still it gets a bit unruly. It's something that needs to be tidied on a regular basis. And I'm actually talking probably daily.
I think if we're being realistic, Ingrid, Even if you've got coat racks, shoe racks, designated areas for things, are you really going to go to that effort when you come in? You might, if the habit has been well formed, you
Yeah.
might get 50, 60%. But in general, we can be forgiven for letting things go, but we
Mm.
have to get back on top of it, don't we? It has to form part of your daily reset. And if you've got multiple people in your home, including small children, then you might have to do that a couple of times a day. So it's a combination of trying to form habits and putting the right organizational systems in place so you've actually got somewhere to put these things. It's about trying to force habit, trying to encourage everybody to get on board with those habits. And then ultimately it's about, okay, it's fine. People can kick the shoes off. We're not going for perfectionism here. But at some point later in the day, when you've got a little bit more energy, when you're not kind of breathing that sigh of relief when you come through the door, then you go back and you kind of reset it. That's what it's all about. But they are
Definitely.
lots of hotspots, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think leading on from that, Leslie, and we see them everywhere, it's the little bowls and dishes with random bits. Now, what do I mean with random bits? It can be a key, it can be coins, it can be even buttons from a trouser or a shirt that you think, huh? What what are these doing in here? You know what I see a lot of well? Paper clips from, when a coat has been to the dry cleaners and you kind of want to wear it again for the first time to see, you're like, oh, the label's still in with the little paper clips, or paper clips and the little labels get dropped in these bowls and dishes.
What do
Bit
you
of
mean
a
paper
mismatch.
clip? Well, just a minute here. What do you mean paper clips? You mean safety pins?
Oh, sorry, a safety pin. Yes, I'm sorry. I mean a safety pin. I mean a safety
I was
pin.
like, paper clips? Paper clips? What kind of strange thing they've
I
got
mean a
going on?
safety pin. I mean a safety pin.
Safety pins. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, you find a safety pin with a little kind of cardboard or sort of paper thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think is, what, there's a reason for it. So why do we do these things? People put bowls on in entryways and also on kitchen counters. There are bowls in bedrooms, offices. People put bowls in there because there's this idea that you won't find what you need because it's not got a designated spot. So the reason why these become hotspots, we've got all good intention because what we want to do is we want to keep things in a safe place. And so we then designate a safe place so that the keys don't just go all over the place and save it. And we kind of chuck it in there, chuck it in there, chuck it in there, and it gathers and then it's full of dust and all that kind of stuff. Then it becomes not a nice space. And so, but really what we need to do is there's no problem with having a bowl for keys or that kind of thing in your home,
Mhm.
but it needs to be designated for one particular kind of thing. And what happens is it might have 20 or 30 types of things altogether, and that's when it becomes unruly. And then it's no longer a designated space because it's just a catch-all, right, Ingrid?
Yeah. I forgot to say batteries, Leslie. Batteries are fine of the working or not working. Who knows?
But
It's
there's all kind
really,
of,
yeah,
yeah, batteries, umbrellas, wet wipes, face masks was a big one when we were all wearing face masks all the time, tissues, all of those kind of things
yeah,
just gather into this bowl together. And really, we need to have a designated place for the face masks, a designated place that we can put the safety pins back where we can use them again, because we're never going to look in that bowl for a safety
no,
pin. If we need a safety pin, we're going to go to the place where the safety pins live, right? And so it's really important to get these bowls. Actually, if you're a cluttery person, for me, the bowls need to go,
yeah,
Ingrid.
yeah. I
They're never
agree.
good. They're never good, are they?
No, I have no. I'm actually thinking now. I don't think. I think there's one type of tray in my house, but that's my husband's. That's my husband's. I do not have any of these gathering bowls thingy situations because I don't like them.
Yeah, I've got no bowls at all. And Steve will have bowls, but he is a person that would chuck all kinds of nonsense into a bowl, is the bottom line. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, but not in, he has his own flat. No bowls allowed in my house. He's got his own bowl situation going on in his flat. Do you know what I mean? So, no bowls allowed. But honestly, a straightforward piece of advice is as you are going on your decluttering journey, try and eradicate bowls
Yeah.
because they just become this catch-all,
Yeah.
and they won't help your clutter
I
situation.
know. And you know, the thing is they multiply. Exactly what you said, Leslie. It starts with a bowl in the hallway with all the best intentions. And then before you know, there's one in the bedroom, there's one in the living room, there's one in the kitchen. And I'm like, what are all these bowls doing with all? And it's all the same type of thing. So what you need to create is a drawer somewhere with useful things where every category has its own little box or container so you can actually find it. You know what? Before I start to rant, I'm going to move on to number 3, Leslie. Living room coffee table clutter. Another hotspot where we sit down, we relax in the evening, watch a bit of telly, I don't know, maybe read a magazine, chill out, or just lay on the sofa and have a little nap. But there's always some sort of table there, a coffee table, which kind of gets cluttered with lots of random stuff.
Yeah. As you say, books, magazines, pens, post-it notes, coins that you've taken out of your trousers. Particularly men a lot have coins. Maybe not so much now that we're going kind of cashless a bit. But you know, if you do ever pay cash and you get coins and men put them into their pockets, right? I think women
Yeah.
typically use purses and stuff
Yeah.
and would put things back in the purse, but men kind of have like coins and then so they take them out because you don't want to sit down with them and stuff like that. Medication is quite often on there.
Remote controls
remote
from all of the
controls.
different. I've got 5 remote controls, Leslie. What is that all about? Uh, I feel like I'm like starting up a spaceship or something. I just want to watch a bit of telly. You have to put on this on and that on and that on and five,
I know, so
five
many
remotes. It makes
things.
no sense.
Exactly. So again, you know, these kind of living room tables, it might be a coffee table that sits in front of you, it might be a side table that's at the side of you. It's important to keep on top of these things. And every now and again, every day, hopefully, if you can, is to go around and to put things back. It's nice to be able to line up the remote controls next to the TV. There's something quite satisfying about not having them scattered and to gather together as part of your reset all the remote controls. So that when you next go to put the TV on, you've not got a big searching situation where you've got to go down the side of the sofa or has it fallen behind the table and all that. These are just the kind of thing that are going to help you the next time you want to find something. Put the pens back so when you want to find a pen, you can find it where it belongs. Put the post-it notes back. Make sure your medication is back in the right places. These are all things that are going to help your future self. So that we can be forgiven, of course, for looking out for these things as we need them. But ultimately, we need to put them back so that they're in the right place when we want to find them.
Yeah.
So yeah, those living room tables are definitely clutter hotspots.
Exactly. And what we see a lot as well, talking about living rooms, are the racks where you can put like magazines in, but then the daily newspaper gets in and maybe the free newspaper that you get from your local area. And then somebody drops a leaflet through your door. You think, oh, that might come in handy. And that goes into the magazine rack as well. And before you know it, the thing nearly topples over. And what originally was meant to be a magazine rack for like your 2 or 3 magazines that you currently are reading or that comes in a new one and you're trying to declutter the old one, becomes this kind of catch-all thing for all things paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Paperwork, you know, magazines, newspapers, all that kind of stuff. We've got to keep on top of it, haven't we? It's all about that quality over quantity, really. You know, and we need to start to designate actual parameters as to how long we're going to keep these things. Because if you're somebody that's going and getting a new magazine every week when you go to the shops or getting one delivered or whatever, like how long are you going to keep them for? And if it's something like a craft magazine or a subscription magazine, are you going to keep all of those things? If that's the case, then they need a different spot rather than for me, the magazine rack is more of a transient thing to keep what's current. And then some people will keep magazines long term and they need a different allocated spot, right? So, but yeah, it's important for those magazine racks just to have magazines in them. Quite often they've got people's knitting or crafting projects or do you know what I mean? So just look at those because again, is it really helpful to you if you are a cluttery person? Perhaps taking the magazine rack out completely is going to help you because once you start to have a place where you can put things, then it starts to gather more clutter. And then before you know it, you've got tons of things in there. So perhaps you go, do you know what? I'm not going to have a magazine rack because it's not helping me. It's just a clutter gatherer or a clutter hotspot.
Yeah, and I think even taking it a step further then, maybe when you're going to do this project, you're going to realize, wow, actually, I have this magazine. I haven't read the last 6. I've just stacked them in my magazine rack. And I haven't had the time, the energy, the inclination. I've lost interest in the subject. Is it time to actually cancel the magazine subscription and go, actually, you know what? I'm spending money of this, but I'm actually not reading it at all. So I think that's kind of the next level, right? When you kind of start to work on these things, you can really ask yourself questions and go, do I still really enjoy it? Does it make me happy? Do I read this? Do I want to spend the time on it? And taking that next step further. But first step is, have you got a magazine rack? If yes, what kind of stuff is in there? And does it actually need to live there or somewhere else?
Definitely. So
Excellent.
let's go on to number 5, Ingrid.
Yes, number 5 is medication. That can be a real hotspot wherever you put it. Some people have it in their bathroom. Some people have it in their bedside table. Some people have a tray in the kitchen. Some people have kids' medication in kind of the floor where the kids are sleeping and they got their own medication on their own floor or downstairs. Medication it kind of starts to live. If you don't have one space, it starts to live everywhere. And then it becomes really cluttery. But because a lot of the magazine packets are small, so we can squeeze a lot in a drawer or a cupboard or a tray or a container. So that's where it already starts. And then if we use a lot of medication, things get outdated, things get replaced by another medicine, but we still have the old one and we haven't really gotten around to sorting it all out. And then it can really get out of control.
It can. And I think, it's a real quick win to go through medication. And again, like all of these clutter hotspot things that we're talking about, as well as sorting them out, getting rid of what you don't need anymore, and trying to reset things, it's really important to take a step back and to evaluate what's happening and why. So for things like medication, particularly if you're a person that's got a lot of complex health needs, you can get a lot of medication every time you get a prescription. And the chances, if that medication's got 24 tablets in it, the chances of you actually using all 24 often, unless it's on repeat, is slim. Sometimes we forget to take them, we stop them, the ailment goes away, and then all of a sudden we've got 14 left that then goes out a day. And it's difficult to, if it's prescription medication, it's difficult to let go of it because you've got to go back to the pharmacy. I was having a conversation last week with my father-in-law, and I was like, have you gone back to the pharmacy and told them to stop sending you things on repeat? Because you've got to keep on top of the pharmacies as well, because they will just keep sending you things, and then it's costing a lot of money and all that. I'm like, you really need to keep on top and go, I'm no longer using that. And it's up to you then to tell them. This is the UK. It's probably different around the world where the NHS is. Is you need to keep on top of that and go, I keep getting sent these things and I no longer need them or want them. But of course, because it's health related, there's a different emotion, which is panic. We get a little bit panicky about things. We think that we might need them. So we start to stockpile them. So there's so much wrapped up in that. So, but medication is often very unruly and a complete clutter gatherer because we honestly, Ingrid, if we do medication sort out, I bet normally 3/4 of that medication will go.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. And then you look at the waste, you look at the waste and all of those medications that have, if it's the NHS is paying for ultimately, and it's just so much waste. And so there's a lot involved in medication, right? A lot involved in keeping on top.
And even things that are not kind of given to you, just the paracetamol and the nose spray and the kids things and the cream here or there, or when you have a bit of a sniffly nose in the summer, all of these things. I did a clear out a couple of months ago, right before I went on holiday, just to kind of make sure, like, did I have still the right things that I want to bring on holiday with me? And I said, oh gosh, that's been, even, and I'm normally quite on top. I found things that were 6 months out of date because it's not something you do all the time, because I don't have massive amount of medication. So, and thankfully we're not people who are ill a lot and don't have to take a lot of medication. So it's kind of once or twice a year kind of job. So you then realize, wow, gosh, it's been a while, And things in, so then you need to bag it up because of course they really said, please don't throw medication in your normal bin, return it to the pharmacy because it's much better for the environment. So lots involved. So definitely a hotspot. Well, I think we've done really well with these 5, Leslie, these first 5
How
before
many
the
have you
break.
got?
Well, I've admitted to one bowl. One, it's more like a tray in my living room, with
What's
random
in it though?
stuff.
What's in it?
Oh, it's my husband's stuff.
Like what?
Coins, keys, radiator bleeding keys, his sunglasses,
Oh, so it
uh,
definitely is like a full-blown bowl situation.
like a whole thing. I can't even talk about it. But at least after 25 years, or how long are we married? 20 years of marriage, it's in one tray and not in 6 different places. So I'm winning here. No magazine racks, medication is something that I do. So one,
I'm
I'm
gonna
doing
go
good.
a 0 because I am not taking responsibility for Steve's stuff in his
Just
flat.
told me you've got a whole thing of bags in your entryway.
We've not got to bags yet.
Yeah, but we've done entryway and in their bags are in your entryway.
I know, but we're not. Excuse me, you'd like jumping ahead. See, now you're doing a spoiler alert for the next part of the podcast, and we're going to have to do that first now.
Yeah, well, let's do it. Let's go for a break and then we'll see you back. We're going to talk about bags. Ooh. Oh my gosh, we nearly got into fisticuffs here, me and Leslie. It's a good thing you're in Manchester, I'm in London, Leslie.
Exactly. Because you preempted and like a big spoiler that. People were like waiting with bated breath to find out what the next 5 things were on our clutter hotspots, and you just went straight in. So let's talk about it.
Well, okay then. So bags, and actually, is it bag storage? Are bags random bags in your understairs cupboard? Is there a kitchen cupboard full of bags? Are they in your hallway, like Leslie had just told me before we started recording? Where are your bags?
Trying to talk about the hallway situation, by the way. Okay, so yeah, again, gonna put this down to my husband because he is the one that does all the shopping, right? And he loves to keep things, right? So they're in the hallway because they're waiting to go out to the car, which is what we would recommend.
Yes.
So you bring them in, you do your shopping. Steve went shopping last night when we came back. And so they're in the hall ready to go back out to the car, and they will go out to the car next time we go out to the car. So that's not bad, but are there too many? Yes, there are too many bags. I looked and I was like, that's probably 25 bags. And actually, every time Steve does even a full shop, it's probably 4 to 6 max bags.
Yeah.
And we don't really use we use the kind of, the Hessian type ones now more than the plastic ones as well. So do you know what I mean? So yes, I do, thank you, have bags in my hallway, but it's half good. It's half good because they are out to the car. But do I think I could do a little bit of a get rid of a few bags? Absolutely. But again, there's a little barrier there, you see, Ingrid, because they're bags for life. And so in order, you can't just, well, you can if you wanted to, you can throw them away. But ideally, we would want to return them to a supermarket where, and that's not every supermarket here. So we have like soft bag recycling at many supermarkets, don't we, where you can take those kind of things and they will recycle them, but it's only certain ones. It's not all of them. It's not available for everybody, is it? So
yeah. You know what? Bags, we see a lot of bags with bags. And the thing is, it's not only plastic bags, it's paper bags, it is bags for life that you can use over and over and over and over again. It's the fabric bags that you can now buy or get given as a freebie when you go somewhere. And we just gather them. And I think in the beginning when plastic bags, you have to start years ago, we have to start paying like 5p or 10p for a plastic bag. So I think everybody was like, I need to hold on to my bags. But even still now, although we are all used to that and people are much, much better. And I think the plastic bag use has gone down dramatically. But I think still we've got somewhere inside us a little bit like, I'm going to pay for it now, so I'm going to keep it just in case, because you never know when you might need a plastic bag. And we have tons.
Yeah, tons. Yeah. But I think it's 20p now for a bag.
Oh, wow. Well, that shows you how long I haven't bought a bag.
Yes, I think it's 20p for a bag. But I think it's New Zealand. There's no plastic bags in the country. You just can't get one. which
I
is
love
really
it.
good, right?
Yeah.
They just don't. So they've eradicated it completely, which is brilliant. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But where do they come from? Like, where do all those bags actually come from? Because you can't buy them at well, no, you can buy them here. Maybe I
Yeah.
just forget sometimes. But anyway, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a bit like a sock situation. You're just like, where are these bags actually coming from?
Yeah. But it's definitely a clutter hotspot. And that's why it made the list, because we see it, and it's something that we also love to give as like a quick win or a challenge. We're like, go through your bags and have a look, because it's really something that people don't realize how many they have until they pull them all out and start to subcategorize them in all the different categories. And then you have to ask yourself, I do not like a fabric bag. I'm sorry. I really tried, just not my thing. My kids, on the other hand, love them. So I'm like, here you go. But then I was in Max's room the other day. I'm like, why have you got like 8 fabric bags? Anyway, so yeah, it's one of those
Because it's
things.
sustainable, because
Yeah.
sustainability has taken us down a fabric bag route, but now we've got a ridiculous state of affairs with the fabric bags that we had with the plastic bags before.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, ah.
I
But
know.
anyway, we just need to recognize it, and we need to manage the volumes, right?
Yeah. And maybe what if you're like, okay, I have loads of them, use them to back up your donations.
Absolutely.
That is like a great way, because charity shops and Goodwill and things, they like a plastic bag, and they're not too heavy. You can't overfill them. They're easily to transport. So that is our solution. If you've got a surplus of bags, go and find some stuff to declutter from your house and put that stuff
Yes.
in there. Oh my goodness. Right. We got there in the end. Number, where are we now? 7. We're going to the bedroom, and we see lots of nightstands full of clutter. Books, glasses, iPods, medication again, electronics, sometimes passports and important paperwork. I mean, all loads of tissues, lots of stuff finds its way in and on top of nightstands.
Yeah. Wait, I mean, iPods have been gone a long time, Ingrid.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to say like headphones. I wanted to say earpods.
AirPods.
AirPods.
I was like, honestly, she's still stuck in the like, it was like 2003 or something that iPods were around. Like, she's just saying iPods. Anyway, but yeah,
Oh
so
my gosh. Do we
as
have
you
to
know,
cut all this out, Leslie?
I
Because
just, I just can't let anything go. Like, bottom line, as soon as Ingrid says anything, I jump on it. The point is, good job she's got a thick skin, isn't it? Mostly she laughs. Thankfully.
I will cry afterwards in the corner by myself. Leslie's been mean again.
Yeah. Do you know what? I will admit that my nightstand is the only thing I do, because what I do, because I've got this habitual thing every night where I have to take a glass of water to bed with me. And I rarely take a sip of that water ever. And then somehow I don't take the cup down with me in the morning until there will regularly be 4 glasses on that nightstand before I'm like, okay, the glasses need to go down now. And they're all full, completely full. So I just then use them to water the plants. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, fine. So it is cluttered with glasses. I just can't, I just don't know. There's something about my morning reset. The rest of the room is completely fine, but I never take the glasses down.
Yeah.
It's a bit awkward to carry, putting glasses into each other,
Yeah.
aren't they? Because they feel like they're going to smash. You need to take them one down one by one. I don't know what it is. I've definitely got a mental barrier with glasses on the nightstand.
I think, I think some people, the nightstand can be very cluttered, Leslie, because it's just people have their routines.
Yeah.
When they go to bed, when they wake up in the morning as well, they've got their routines. And if you are somebody who puts like cream on your hands and you've got your things and you want to write things down and you want to do some journaling and in the morning, blah, 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 it needs to work really hard. But a nightstand is normally quite small,
Yeah.
so it's a space that has to work really hard. And I think you're right, Leslie. The only way to stay on top of it is to just about daily go, okay, what's right? Maybe the problem is there's no rubbish bin in your bedroom. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe indeed you're not doing a morning reset. the water with the glass is probably because you have to take that glass, go to the bathroom, empty the glass, and then take it down because you don't want to walk down with 4 glasses with water in them on
Yeah.
2 or 3 lots of stairs, you know? So there's just things, and it easily becomes messy.
I think one of the things that I typically do with clients is they'll always, because when it's gone to a sort of design place, which quite often does after we do declutter, is always have drawers in your nightstand. Always.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Unless you really don't want them to sort of stave off the clutter. But they're really handy to be able to keep things a little bit out of sight, but still orderly and stuff and organized. And
Yeah.
so I just think it's a wasted storage opportunity not to have drawers in your nightstands. And the problem is that a lot of them look so nice, like with just the shelves or the ones that are open underneath look really lovely. But if you can hide things away a little bit, I'm not saying hide the clutter away, but I think a drawer gives you the opportunity to compartmentalize things, containerize things a little bit more, give yourself just that little bit more space at your bedside, because we all want it to be calm when we get into bed. We don't want 7 books and all your medication and all of those things that gravitate towards the nightstand.
Yeah, exactly. I'm good. I'm good on this one. I'm feeling smug. I just don't have a lot of stuff at all. I like a book, a couple of books, and maybe like a notebook and an alarm clock. That's it. So yeah, I'm
You got
good.
drawers in yours?
Yeah,
You have? And what's in
yeah.
the, oh, you use those for your underwear and stuff, right?
Underwear and socks. One of them is underwear and one of them is socks.
Yeah.
So that gives me the perfect limit. That fits. That's it. I cannot not buy more because I know it will be otherwise too full. So
I think
yeah.
a lot of it, Ingrid, is that some people spend a bit more time in bed, and I don't mean sleeping but I mean
Yeah.
some people might go to bed at 8 o'clock at night and just chill for a couple of hours before they go
Yeah.
to sleep.
Yeah.
So it has to be a bit more. Like I
Yeah.
don't really go to bed until I'm ready to go to sleep. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I
Exactly.
think
Same.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's different depending on the way that you deal with your mornings and nights.
Yes. Number 8, we're going to stay in the bedroom and we're going to look at the wardrobe or closet floor. Oh boy, we find that it definitely is a hot spot because shoes go in there on the floor of your wardrobe, and then some things fall off the hanger. So then there's clothes, and then there's stuff we try to hide from other people, whether it's presents, gifts, or just other stuff that we don't want anybody else to know. We kind of hide it away under our clothes.
What are you talking about? What sort of things are you talking about?
No, I got nothing.
I'm just intrigued. It's very intrigued.
Shoes only in my wardrobe, but I have seen many a thing being hidden away.
Fair enough. Yeah, but I think it is the kind of the things that drop off. That's like things like camisole tops drop off the hangers and they're always at the bottom of the floor all crumpled up and everything gets very dusty because everything drops off the clothes onto the shoes. Handbags are there. Handbags are notoriously difficult to store, so they end up on the bottom of the wardrobe floor. Bits of paperwork, all so wardrobes are a bit of a clutter hotspot, aren't they? So it's just you've got to clear it out and clean it out with regularity, and that's the only way to avoid it, right, Ingrid?
Yes, and you know what? Don't forget, what a lot of people don't realize is that bedrooms can be quite dusty. Because it's the clothes, the beds are in there. We shed skin from our bodies, which is normal, but it gives a lot of dust. So and it comes onto our clothes. It's all the little fluff. It's possibly even the towels or the bedding if you store those in your bedroom as well or in your closets. It all creates a lot of dust. So this is something, and it all falls down on the floor. And we probably regularly hoover our room, but a closet or wardrobe floor, you have to open the doors, get everything out. It's just not something that you do on a regular basis. And all of a sudden you go, oh my word, why are my shoes so dusty? Probably because you don't wear them a lot or all the time because you can't find them under the other stuff. That's just how it happens. So it's just one of those jobs, once, maybe twice per year. You kind of have to go, right, let me dig it all out and see what's going on here. And once you're on top of it a little bit more, it gets easier.
It does. Still intrigued. Are you going to tell me off camera?
I honestly have nothing, Leslie. I have nothing.
You're making it sound all decadent and stuff.
I've got nothing apart from shoes in my wardrobe. But I found some interesting things in other people's houses, but I'm not going to tell you that on the podcast. Right.
Maybe we should do a whole podcast episode on what we found in other people's houses.
Yeah.
But that would be a fun podcast, but it would be a complete breach of confidentiality.
Yeah.
Sadly, that's not going to happen. But yeah.
Right. Oh gosh, I'm getting all flustered now. Because we're gonna still stay in the bedroom because we found another clutter hotspot there, and that is under the bed. Things just disappear under there. It's really true. It's like, how often have I actually laid on my stomach on the floor with my, because I've got quite a quite long body and arms, so I kind of can go whoop, and I kind of kept sweeping things from under the bed. And I'm like, wow, what's under here besides lots and lots of dust?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think it depends. Ideally, one of your goals potentially ought to be try to not have anything under your bed if possible. We've talked a lot about dust and skin and all the kind of grimy things that happen in a bedroom. And so if we can avoid using under the bed to store anything, that would be the ultimate goal. But that's not always possible. We have to get real here. Sometimes we need to use those spaces. So if we do use under the bed storage for anything, make sure the boxes are covered if possible, make sure they've got wheels if that's going to work for you to be able to wheel things out, and then make sure that it's kind of compartmentalized and it's intentional. That's the most important thing. If you have got stuff under your bed, it needs to be intentional. A lot of people have things like handbag storage under there, things like shoe storage under there, sentimental items go in there. Sometimes people have got duvets, pillows. It depends. You've obviously got the beds where you can lift things up. Swingrid's got one of those. I've got one of those in London, which are brilliant. Those kind of ottoman beds where you can absolutely store things underneath, which are great. But I think what we're talking about is more where there's an actual void area under your bed, and that's the one that you've really got to keep on top of. You can, even if but it's awkward, from a physical perspective, to get down low under those beds and scoop everything out. But you can use a broom handle, you can use a Hoover, all of those things. So keep on top of it, because it feels quite grim and grimy, doesn't it? If you get to it like after 6 or 8 months, you're like, I don't even know why that is. And you will find things that you had lost as well. Under the bed needs to be kept on top of it, because it is a bit of a clutter hotspot, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's leave the bedroom. We found one more clutter. I mean, there's so many. We made a whole list. In the end, we had to let's pick and choose. Last one is in the kitchen. The kitchen table, or maybe sometimes the kitchen counter, can become a really clutter hotspot. Kitchen counters have to work really hard. And in the end, you want to use a kitchen table to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner on, or to prepare your food. Same for a kitchen counter. It's there to be able to easily wash your dishes, prepare your food, tidy up, clean it all up. But we find things scattered all over the place, and it gets really then hard to manage. And the problem is often that the cupboards in a kitchen are too full, so stuff can't be put away properly, and it ends up on the table or on the sides, cluttering up everything. And then it also looks very, very busy, which makes it very draining to look at a messy kitchen.
I think for me, one of the things that's quite important when you are doing your reset and doing your kitchen counter clean in particular is to be able to lift things and clean underneath. And if that becomes too difficult, then perhaps you've got too much on your kitchen counters. So every time I wipe, I will actually pick the toaster up and the coffee machine up and wipe underneath it, because otherwise things go, like crumbs and stuff go behind it. So I think it's important to sort of, be able to maneuver things and move things around when you're cleaning your kitchen counters down. And I think if you start to keep things on your kitchen counters, typically because either you feel like you need visibility on them, or because you don't have a suitable cupboard for them, or because your cupboards are too full, then it's important to know where your limits are. So things like utensil racks and stuff like that, they gather and gather and gather. And before you know it, you've had one utensil pot, and then you've got two, and then you've got three. And like, why? And do we need, is there anywhere else that we can put those things? These things gather clutter. And once you've got it sort of in your mind that actually, yeah, I'm going to put those things on my kitchen counter, it might become a little bit unruly. And as Ingrid said, it sort of messes with your head a little bit, doesn't it? It becomes very aesthetically busy. And I think that's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah, and I think as well, when you've got so much out, it is so hard to clean. So then it's a job that you avoid and don't want to do. And as soon as you want to wipe a kitchen counter several times per day and keep on top of it, because as soon as you leave little bits and bobs, it gets harder to clean, it gets more work, and you want to do it even less. And then it becomes this massive big chore. So the less stuff that's out, the easier it is, and for everything. So we can definitely recommend tackle that kitchen counter, take care of that hot spot, because your future self will go, oh, it's so much easier. It's part of your morning reset, your afternoon reset, your evening reset. And it's so nice to wake up the next morning and come into a kitchen that is calm. You're just at the start of your day. You want it to look neat and tidy.
Yes, you do. So tally up. How many?
Tally up. No bedroom nightstand for me. Nothing on the wardrobe floor. No, I mean, I've got under the bed storage, but I know exactly what's there. It's tidy, it's organized, so I'm good. Kitchen counters. Well, it's messy now, but I think that's because, there's kids in there, but it will get done like on a regular basis. There's not like random bits there. Bag storage, I could probably declutter a couple of bags, but it's not too crazy. I think I'm in relatively good shape here. Leslie, how about you?
Yeah, well, I've obviously got the bag situation going on that you outed me on. So I've got one from segment 2, and you've got one from segment 1. So we have got one clutter.
So just to clarify, you're not counting your glasses on your nightstand. That's So have you lost? Have I actually finally for once won?
Yeah, okay. I'll let you win. I will allow you to win, Ingrid, on this occasion.
That makes me actually quite happy. I'm not gonna lie.
I might deduct a point for you not being able to say hotspot very well.
So listeners, have you got one or more of these clutter hotspots in your home? And have you kind of gone, oh, yeah, I got that one and that one. I need to do some work. I'm going to tackle one of them this evening after I've listened, or I'm going to do one of them this weekend, and I'm going to have a look at that and sort it out. Tell us in the comments. We would love to know. Share with us your clutter hotspots. And maybe you're like, listen, Ingrid, I'm fine with those, but you didn't even mention this one. And I've got this one for sure. So maybe if you have a clutter hotspot that you have in your home that we haven't talked about, let us know, because we can do another podcast. I've really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, 10 more clutter hotspots. Yeah. 10 more clutter hotspots. Yeah, exactly. So
anyways, we appreciate you. Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much for listening to the Declutter Hub podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to us in your podcast player so you don't miss an episode, and we'll see you next week.